Welcome to Identity Unboxed, where we provide mentorship and promote representation for Black professionals and the advancement of the Black community.
We are seeking guidance from exceptional Black leaders, scholars, and professionals with expertise in their respective fields.
We hope to foster a space that promotes authenticity, inclusivity, and restoration for our listeners while exploring the intersection of our personal and professional lives.
This project is a culmination of our lived experiences as young Black professionals to transform our life trajectories, to overcome adversity, and reach triumph.
Our intention is to inspire you on your path to discovering your purpose.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Identity Unboxed in our Black History Month series, Legacy Lens, Tactics of the Oppressor, Resistance to Revolution Through U.S. History. We are so grateful to be here with George Lee Jr., better known as Conscious Lee. He's an educational consultant, workshop facilitator, and social media influence. And we're just really excited to be here with him today and want to thank him for joining because I know we're going to learn so much from him and we're just really excited for this conversation. So thank you so much for joining us. Seriously.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And with that being said, we're going to jump into our first question. As a renowned public speaker and educator with an audience of over 3 million across TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, you use your platform to educate and encourage critical thinking on global socio-political topics. Facing significant adversity in childhood as the child of incarcerated parents, you overcame the odds. Guided by the principle that education is elevation, you received a bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees from the University of Oklahoma and became one of the top college debaters in the nation. Can you share how your upbringing shaped your path to becoming an educator who aims to spark individuals' political consciousness and promote social justice?
Man, great question. Being a first generation college student and having your parents, experience incarceration and hardships in a way kind of light a fire up under your ass and make it where you just have a hunger. I think the first time I felt heard and seen, and the first time I felt alive in certain instances was in the classroom, especially by the time I got to college and started to debate. Um, my upbringing made it where I saw education as a vehicle for me to move around and navigate the world I was in. Um, education was also a way that I was able to get opportunities and access and resources in order to make my life better. The last thing I'll say is that my motto was education is elevation. But I'm very, very conscious, no pun intended, to the way that education is also, the school to prison pipeline. So I think my upbringing always allowed for me to see that duality of the classroom, as well as that duality of a lot of ways that Black folks relate to just the education process writ large. As somebody that's been diagnosed with ADHD and bipolar, I think that the way that my symptoms showed up in the classroom allowed for me to be seen a little bit more charming and charismatic than some of my other, colleagues in the classroom that had those same exact symptoms, but they were criminalized and sent to in-school suspension and maybe got citations for it. So I think because I was able to see a bunch of grit and grind growing up, as well as being able to be seen and heard, but also seeing that people can be locked up and or go to college from the classroom. I think it made it where the way I speak towards education, the way I speak towards reality, the way I speak towards power and domination politics is always a part of that well-rounded duality or dualism or binary of shit can be bad and shit can be good. Classroom can get you into an institution of higher learning. It can also get you into a criminal institution. You know what I'm saying? I had a parent that benefited from selling drugs. I had a parent that was disadvantaged from being addicted on drugs. So I've always been able to see the both sides of the fence. I've always been able to witness or experience how the same exact phenomenon, experience thing can be something that can make some people feel alive. And shit, the very same thing can make some people dead. So it was just, very long-winded to answer the question. Thank you for asking, though.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I was hoping you'd dive a little bit more into how you overcame some of those systemic barriers. Like you mentioned, Black youth are usually criminalized for being neurodivergent. And I think even, back, I'm guessing when you were in school, that wasn't as common to even talk about mental health for youth. And especially when you said ADHD was presenting early on when you were in school, and sometimes Black children can be seen as defiant because of that. Did you have any support systems that helped you kind of work through that? Or did you have a person in your life that I guess empowered you to really understand what your natural talents and abilities were, and did it make you feel like you were different in any way?
Yeah, I think that I had a whole bunch of in the beginning, like teachers that would see I was trying to break a cycle or, see that I was a little different. So they took a special attention to me. Or they would, give me some encouragement and empowerment that I feel like other teachers didn't. If I'm being real though, I always had a community that believed in me and that thought that I can do something different, no matter how much they alienated me or ostracized me for feeling like I was different or feeling like I could be, the meal ticket or feeling like I could be genius or feeling like I could be the one that changed for everybody. I think it had is that type of environment and expectations and community has its ways that it always builds you up, but sometimes that anxiety and expectations can be a little my daddy was in the streets though. You know what I mean? So a lot of the people that was in the streets, I'm from the hood. So when you be about 13, 14, 15, that's when you start to get exposed to what's going on in the streets. And for me, because my daddy and my uncles was in the streets, it was a lot of ways that I was deterred, and there was a lot of ways that folks that would have put drugs in my hand or people that I would have been trying to rob or do something with, they didn't want to do it with me because who my parents were, because who my daddy and uncles was. So a lot of ways because my daddy and my uncles thought highly of me, made it where even if I tried to go the other way, they wouldn't having it, but also had it where there were different educators and family members and people in the community that thought I was always brilliant, thought that I was always, stood out in different ways. In high school, I was homecoming king, prom king, class president. I threw parties every month in my little small country town, and all small country towns came to my town. I feel like from the time I was like 15 to like 18, you know what I'm saying? So I've always been able to promote and advertise. I've always had different people, maybe a lot of people or a little bit of people that believed in my vision and believed that I could do some things to change the world. And because of that, it's kept me out of a lot of the pitfalls and a lot of the uh uh decisions that people came before me that made it and they ended up in places they didn't want to be.
That's so amazing to hear that, you had those folks around you, like you said, your community, that they had bigger dreams for you. And it really does take just some of those people around you encouraging you and letting you know that you can reach higher than even those examples that had been set for you, like you said, with your parents falling into selling drugs, which a lot of times that can happen because people are looking to survive. And sometimes that's the
For sure.
easiest path out for them at the time. And so that's amazing to hear that, like, you still were able to find that joy and success for yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I love how you speak to the way that our mental health can impact us in schools, but also how a lot of people who struggle with that or have certain diagnoses, they are mistreated. I know in Washington state, in our state, it's a crime to willfully disrupt school or to willfully disrupt class. And working with some nonprofit law firms that help folks or youth in education, that's a big problem because teachers can really use their discretion to target certain kids. Someone, like you said, is more charismatic or has certain traits about them that they like, then they might give them a pass. But for other students, how far are they willing to take that? And so I agree with what you said about, education is elevation, but also being aware that it can lead to the school to prison pipeline because of even laws like that in our state, the discretion that they have to essentially target kids, even if they do have, some sort of mental health diagnosis. So thank you for being open about that.
Appreciate it, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just pivoting a little bit, we know that your entire career has been built off of elevating the experiences of the Black community and also diving into history that often is not told in public school curriculum. And so we are looking forward to diving into our next question, which was the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793 authorized the capture and return of escaped slaves to their owners and imposed penalties on any accomplices. The law was deemed ineffective due to widespread resistance and led to the passage of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, which increased the severity of punishments for those who aided runaway slaves and tasked the federal government with its enforcement. In a recent video, you stated that ICE is a part of the structural design of America and that the agency's deportation enforcement tactics are tantamount to those of the Fugitive Slave Act. Can you elaborate on this parallel and provide insight into how America's institutions are designed to systematically subjugate marginalized communities, particularly the Black community?
Yeah. I would say that America was very good and intentional at creating a narrative that makes Black people get seen as the all raised, already exposable and being disposable. And I think that a lot of the tactics and methods that they've been able to use to make us exposable and disposable is now being transported onto other communities. Uh, there have been different ways that the fugitive slave era ushered in or solidified the way that we was able to codify race within the law. So when you were able to see during the fugitive slave times that there was a Black person that their skin color or their accent or lack thereof or their job made it legal for you to see them as being a slave. So when we watch the movie 12 Years a Slave and we see Solomon is just trying to provide for his family and survival, and that these two white gentlemen are able to use his skin color against him to make him be seen as a potential slave, to me, that is similar as the Supreme Court saying in 2025, it is now legal for you to racially profile individuals based off of their skin color, their accent, or their job. So now we have, a slave patrol or ICE. We have a law enforcing body that is now using different concept of race to enforce said authority and saying that if you look a certain race, this means that you do not have legality. It means you do not have subjectivity. You do not have rights. You do not get the right to due process. You are not a citizen. And it's just like these are the various ways that it's happened. The last thing I say is that a lot of American exceptionalism happens right now when we start to believe in the idealistic ways that the founding fathers created things. Right now, a lot of Americans is engaging in the idealistic ways of democracy and how that democracy ideally should look. So you're trying to say that the the way that the system is fucking people over is German. It's not a Nazi. It's like a Nazi, or it's Italian, like Gestapo. Like, no, these things are uniquely American products, and we don't need to transcribe them on to foreign entities to be able to explain them away. This is a part of the intelligent design of America. The structural design of America is being able to move a very authoritarian like, and it's to end this response. Hitler, Joseph Stalin, a lot of the ways that they were able to deploy that against their citizens came from them witnessing and visualizing and really looking at what America was doing and being able to copy and paste. A lot of us as Americans don't like looking at that reality, but Hitler was empowered and inspired by Jim Crow. He was inspired by a genocide of Native Americans. So when we start talking about the Nazis, it's important to think about who was the precursor to them or who was the folks that inspired them. And it's like that was America. You know what I mean? So it's just, again, when we start thinking about ICE and we see that the immigrant population is being taken, that it's not nothing that's new. You know what I'm saying? I made a video too, like 2 days ago about the Immigration Act of, I think, 1780 something that was very similar to what's happening right now as well. So it's just people listening, do not be a slave or do not be captive to recent memory. Do not be a slave to what is happening now. You should always think about history in its totality and never ever let nobody trick you and say we live in unprecedented times. Typically, how history works is that it always runs back around and it's typically not unprecedented. If you think that, it's usually just your ignorance of history.
I appreciate you bringing that up so much, especially when you're talking about all of these other instances where we've seen dehumanization of Black people and other marginalized communities, and that at the crux of a lot of it, it's usually white supremacy that's being repackaged in different ways, and people are perpetuating that and consuming that based on their own identities and own privileges. And I was hoping you'd be able to communicate a little bit more about how anti-blackness is also at the root of some of these beliefs and the idea, like you said, of American exceptionalism, and how many people have not been able to confront a lot of the atrocities committed against Black people, police brutality, oppression, and the subjugation of so many other marginalized communities. Until now, like you said, we don't live in unprecedented times, but for some people, because they're now seeing those that maybe look like them starting to experience what Black Americans and Black people have experienced globally for centuries, they've now started to kind of wake up. And so, how would you communicate that to folks and how they can fight against anti-Blackness?
I would say a lot of the ways that we've normalized violence towards Black bodies has enabled a lot of the anti-Black violence to be uh, magnetized, perpetuated on other places. I think that the American law has always been structured in opposition to Blackness and Black bodies, and that's how I would simplify what it means to be anti-Black. It's like being in opposition to, and being in opposition to in a way where it's an antagonistic relationship. It's either this or it's that. It's not a compromisable thing. It's not a conflictual thing. This is me borrowing a little bit from Afro pessimism and the scholars that talk about anti-Blackness. I think that violence in this country has been perfected through the mastery slave relationship. And a lot of the suffering of Black people is how America is able to function and how it's able to stay progressive through all the things that happens. And right now, I think the chickens is coming home and roost in a way where they're saying the quiet part out loud. Like, this was cool when it was just Black folks. Like, now that the violence is not being magnetized in this very obscure way towards Black people, that is breaking up the status quo. And now as people are really asking themselves, is this the America that is what times are we living in? Is this the way that America has always been? Depending on your understanding of anti-Blackness, that's going to dictate your response to that question. If you have a historical understanding of anti-Blackness, you understand that it's not unprecedented. You understand this is the way America has always been. If you think that the way that Black people are brutalized is always a hiccup to the system, or it is a mishap, or it's an error, then you probably having a hard time coming to grips with the reality that we're in right now, because you never were able to take in a core understanding of anti-Blackness, and not just from a individualistic feeling type standpoint, but from a structural standpoint. How the fugitive slave era becomes structural in America. How laws in America is set by precedents. A lot of these precedents come from the legacy of anti-Blackness, meaning that there is no law in America without anti-Blackness. Anti-Blackness makes the American law present, makes it possible.
Yeah, I really love how you mentioned and pointed out that it really is within the structural design of America and how this isn't new and how Nazi Germany was inspired by us. Because when I saw you make that point online, I was like, that's so true. Because I've even been saying, like, oh, this is akin to like Nazi Germany. Like, do you see these tactics? But you're absolutely right that this is a part of the structural foundations of America. Hitler used the tactic of using Jews as a scapegoat for their problems. And when you see go back to our history, Black people were kind of that group. They always focus on a certain group to that they can subjugate and divide people based on. And that's been Black Americans since the inception of this country, essentially. And I love that
And
you
Native Americans too. In it, I feel like Afro
Native, yeah.
pessimism taught me how to understand settler colonialism
Hmm.
and being adjacent to anti-Blackness, and thinking about what you see ICE doing is nothing they haven't done to indigenous folks. You see them breaking up families, you see them kidnapping kids, you see them breaking up, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me understanding settler colonialism, it's like, hey, there were European settlers that call themselves Americans, that came to call themselves Americans, that felt that it was their right given by God
The manifest destiny, as they call it.
to manifest destiny, even if it meant kidnapping kids, putting them in boarding schools, having mass grave sites, kidnapping them in South Dakota and sending them to Oklahoma, kidnapping them in Oklahoma and sending them to, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was happening. So it's like the more we, I feel like I don't want to get too philosophical, but it's really like the Afro pessimist right about humanism and about humanity, and about there's certain people that's locked inside, they're locked outside of what we call the humanistic family and what we call humanism. And the way that we see, the way that we're making a spectacle of the violence that's happening towards ICE or happening with ICE It's showing you that there were camouflage, everyday violence as it always was happening to folks that was seen as kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? The fact that I can sit here candidly and be like, name something ICE is doing that they haven't done to Black folks or Native Americans. Name something. You can't name it? Or you can do like this. Name something they doing right now that they wasn't already doing to Palestinian people or pro-Palestinian people. And you know what? You ain't got to go to Gaza, West Bank. Well, can we think about the Colombian professor that was disappeared and wiped away from? I think it was a Colombian professor. Can we think about the various of American citizens that got deported? And they got deported because the American government felt like the way that they were using their citizenship was no longer aligned to the empire of America. So what we see right now is still like now is the people you care about it. Or ideologically, there's no way for you to discursively say you did it to yourself. A lot of the fascism we seen, it was kind of happening a little bit. It was just happening in a way where folks thought it didn't matter. Y'all stop focusing on Palestine, Israel. That shit don't matter. We got our own problems here. Now, the very tactics we seen them doing to them college students at UCLA and USC and Columbia and UT, they're what they doing now to them folks in Minnesota. All them kids is doing is having little encampments. You feel me? A little kufi, a scarf, a tent, some cardboard, getting their head beat in by police.
Absolutely. No, that it's just so true. And I love that you mentioned the intersectionality with other groups and how what ICE is doing, it's nothing that we haven't seen before. But now there's just kind of a spotlight on it. And I wonder why do you think that is? Is it because we are hyper focused on, I mean, it's always gone on, but do you think people are just more politically aware given what the Trump administration is doing? Why do you think that it's been ignored for so long and now we're just seeing it with a certain demographic that they're kind of framing out now, making like the focal point?
It's a mixture of two things from my perspective. It's a mixture of people being much more vigilant when it comes to political reality we live in, because you're now starting to be forced to see the direct relationship between politics and your reality. So I do think it's a little bit of people being vigilant, but I also think it's more of folks being like, hold on, y'all. I thought we had a social contract that said that what y'all do to the Negroes and the natives would never happen to us. And because y'all are showing us that we can get it too, we can fuck around and find out. Now we have outrage because I can't imagine that law enforcement will beat the hell out of somebody and shoot them and leave them in the street and they ain't do nothing. I can't imagine law enforcement looking at a body that's driving away from them and then seeing it as a threat and then shooting them. We can think of multiple names, Black names that fit being murdered in this same exact way, and sometimes even in Minneapolis. From legal gun owners to people having their house came into. So it's like a lot of these are showing like, damn, I thought we was cool. I'm gonna think about it like this. We've all seen that tweet that says, can we go back to the old police brutality? We've all seen people's hot takes on, can we go back to the old police brutality? The old police brutality just meant that it was just us getting it. The new police brutality mean that everybody can get it. And you know what? I can be honest and say this. As somebody that is mindful and privy and knowledgeable of data and statistics around policing, there's always been white folks that have been victims of police brutality. It was just seen as an error. It was seen as something that
An
wasn't
accident.
happening intentionally. It's
Right.
an accident.
Mhm.
The shit with Renee Good and Alex Presti, you can see it wasn't an accident. And the more it happens, you're starting to see it's not really an error. And the more Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem and Donald Trump emboldens ICE and JD Vance say they got immunity, or saying this, and you see they killing white folks, and you say they got immunity, they understand now what it means for us to be like, I am Trayvon Martin, I am Sandra Bland, I am, because we've seen ourselves in them people. And the issue now is they had empathy. It's a lot of well-meaning liberals out there in Seattle, I'm sure, that had a lot of sympathy and empathy for the Blacks. Like, oh my God.
Temporarily,
Black
they
Lives
did.
Matter, put
And
the sign in
Hey,
the front yard.
you know,
yeah.
because right now it's on my conscience, and right now it's in my reality, and I can't do anything about it until I move out the way, you know. And so I'm worried about Ukraine or the dogs, niggas. You get it. I mean, I say that with a hard R, being facetious too. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh no,
You
yeah,
know what I'm
it's
saying?
Facts.
But yeah.
yeah.
I get
But
it.
what I'll say is that right now is just shit you seeing. Like, hey, they are engaging in really, we seeing class warfare, and we seeing that working class white folks was always hoodwinked and bamboozled into believing that the bourgeois violence was only for anti-blackness. And now they saying that if you threaten my empire or you threaten domination, anybody can get it. I will shoot you in the face. I'll pistol whip you, and on the ground, I'll shoot you, and me and my homeboy gonna take turns shooting. Like, that's not now. Now everybody can get it. So now your psyche, your conscience, your empathy, your sympathy, your morals, your ethics, your whole vision of how you see in America is all being called into question. And that's why we see so many people now have been doing it. And we know, with that being said, why last time I say this, rest in peace, Keith Porter. Actually, me not
Thank you
bringing
so
up his
much
name,
for bringing that
it
up.
shows how also me consciously how I've internalized black inferiority and how I've internalized black erasure, because I just gave this deep ass soliloquy about Alex Presley and Renee
About
Wood
white
and
lives.
anti-blackness and erasure of violence, and I ain't even thinking about this black man that also got taken out by ICE. But it's a part of my point though.
Yeah.
I expect that niggas die every day, B. It's like when I seen the data that showed that we've had an increase of police violence and the police killings of black folks since George Floyd, but I can't really tell you too many names. Niggas get shot every day, B.
And
It's,
it's
hey,
much
2 plus
more
2 is
than
4.
those white lives that have been lost, like you said. And I was going to ask you exactly about that because I think that Black people, like you said, have been experiencing this brutality and oppression for so long, but it was happening kind of under the surface. And now, obviously, we're living in a digital world. And so people have seen that. They've been inundated with Black suffering for so long, but now they're starting to see white suffering and the suffering of other groups. And I think that's now starting to sit with them, and that they realize they're no longer exempt from that same brutality that we've been experiencing and trying to communicate the pain for as long as we've been fighting for justice. But now they realize that we can also be affected by this.
Yeah, Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like even during the Fugitive Slave Act too that you mentioned, police or the slave patrols, they could bust into anyone's house without a warrant. And so white people, it seems like you said,
We're
history is
back to
repeating
it.
itself. Exactly. It's like we're kind of going back to it in a sense, or did we ever really leave? But
Do we ever leave?
We never
yeah,
did leave
JD
though.
Vance said it too. JD
That's
Vance said we can go from JD's band said that we can go knock on door to door.
yep.
And it's like, hey, if we can go knock on
No
door to
warrant.
door, is there any Negroes in here?
Yeah.
Where the Negroes at? You know,
Exactly.
where the illegals at? And
Yeah.
it's just like, I hope they don't ask me this, but and I'm sitting with this analysis right here because I ain't came out with it yet. So y'all gonna be the first people hearing it right here.
I'm feeling so grateful and honored. Today I was like, we're gonna be in class. No, I
Right
love
now, the thing I'm sitting with is this. A lot of the violence that ICE is enacting is being justified in the name of the law. They're illegal. Their very presence is illegal. We should uphold the law and social order and say that anything that jeopardizes the law, challenges the law, is justifiably to be exterminated. That's the law. Within the law, we also know that we have different severities of the law. We know that you can have a first-degree felony, a Class B misdemeanor. We understand there's severity to the law. So let's ignore that being undocumented is a civil offense. Let's ignore that. The Epstein files just dropped. The Epstein files document a bunch of illegal things, a bunch of things around legality that based off of what's been justified in terms of being against, being illegal with immigrants or with undocumented people should be exterminated. We see that it doesn't apply to the Epstein files. So now bring back in a civil offense of being undocumented. Some undocumented people that are creating a civil offense in America are justifiably being kidnapped and shot and human trafficked and detained and all type of shit. But the powerful white men that are in the Epstein files for raping babies, killing kids, the illegals So their civil offense presence warrants more of a legal response than the Epstein files.
There lies your answer. I mean, there, yeah. I
Like,
mean, you have it.
it's something here to me. It's something here like, hold on now. You said you care about the law. Not only you say you cared about the law, you passed a whole bunch of anti-LGBTQ laws. Goddamn, you proposed over 500 policies. Goddamn, in 2024 and 2025. So now you propose those laws because you convinced my community and a whole bunch of communities around America that because the LGBT community could potentially hurt a child, we got to pass these goddamn laws. We got over 1,000,000 pages, y'all. 1,000,000 pages of documenting doing the exact same thing they accused the gays and the days doing the children. So you accuse the gays and days and the queers and the queens and the drag, you accuse them of being a pedophile to children and grooming children. You accuse them of that. The Epstein files is dropping over 1,000,000 documents and you ain't got shit. No. ICE would seem like it would be more served in going and picking up the people that's in the Epstein files. Not
Exactly.
motherfucking Maria or Muhammad or you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Come on. You going to, and that's why I'm thinking like it's something here.
The law only applies to who they want it to apply to. And that's
Ex-
really it. Like, that's what I realized once I started seeing all this unfold. And it's like they want people to idolize and respect law and order. Well, black codes used to be law and order. Jim Crow used to be law and order. It's like there have been so many groups that have been oppressed through law and order, and people have decided, well, that's what is the right way. That's what we were told is okay. That's how I will, not be
Doing my
affected.
job.
Yeah, I won't be arrested. I won't be criminalized if I
Just doing my
follow law and
job.
order. Exactly.
Just doing my job.
And honestly, I have to clock it. I was having a conversation with a black conservative person the other day, and it just seems like with ICE, it was like, I was like, "Are you okay with this? Have you seen history repeating itself?" And they're like, "Well, it's the law." And like Tiana said, there are a lot of laws that oppressed our very own people. And
Slavery
so
was the law.
slavery, exactly. So what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's the law. And that's the thing is a lot of those people that were supporting Trump, black conservatives, no tea, no shade, it's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet on the
All
Epstein
tea, all
files.
shade. All tea, all shade.
Like you're talking about oh illegals this, illegal aliens that when the person
Right.
that y'all voted for is a pedophile and now he's up here in these Epstein files, you see all these rich people in these circles raping and doing horrible things to kids and it's quiet. It's crickets. What about the law now? Oh, it
Where's
doesn't
the
matter when it's
accountability?
pedophiles, but
Right.
when you
Get
can just
over it.
support people, it's fine.
Yeah.
Get over it. Motherfucker said but they're like 14, 15. That's not like kids. That's like almost grown. That's what Nick Fuentes said.
Appalling.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
couldn't even
That
believe
that's
that
that's what
argument.
that's what Chris hold on. That was what Megan Kelly said too. Megan Kelly was
Yeah.
like, you
One
feel
of
because
the
it was talking about
anchors.
her husband R. Kelly. So it's just to me, it's just
Yeah.
showing this, man. The pedophilia and pedophiles is something that's always been weaponized against queer communities. At the same time, they protect the goddamn real pedophiles. And that's just something we got to sit with as a community. We got to sit with as a country that the same things that we said that we should demonize communities for is the same things now we protect the communities for. And that's just the reality to me. But the illegals don't break the law.
I don't know what work this was, but there was something that James Baldwin had said that speaks to that exact analysis you were talking about, and how white people were projecting what their own fears and like insecurities were onto other groups in order to protect themselves and to circumvent accountability. And I need to find what it was. I think it was Letter from a Region in My Mind, which was a letter that he wrote to the New Yorker way back before like the civil rights movement. But yeah, I'm gonna look that up after because it's related to exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we drew from the Fugitive Slave Act and even drew from how it's not just tactics of Nazi Germany. This has been in the structural foundations of America. And in the Underground Railroad, it was a secret network of escape routes in safe houses coordinated by free black people, abolitionists, and co-conspirators. The network was most active between the passage of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 and the commencement of the Civil War in 1861. And during this era, Dr. Samuel Adolphus Cartwright presented the Medical Association of Louisiana with research backing its creation of a new mental illness rooted in scientific racism, drapetomania. Drapetomania was defined as a disease of the mind that caused slaves to run away and was leveraged by many pro slavery advocates in the South to justify the continuation of slavery. The current U.S. administration leverages racist narratives rooted in bigotry and white supremacy to galvanize support for conservative propaganda. In an interview conducted in October 2024, President Trump referred to the enemy from within and suggested the use of military force on what he called sick people and radical left lunatics. From your perspective, why do defenders of oppressive systems often pathologize resistance by framing dissenters as irrational, unstable, or intellectually inferior? And furthermore, how can we disrupt these fallacious statements used by those in power who seek to hinder social progress?
Man, I like what you did there. I see what you did there, Brad. I see what you did there. Shout out to you, man.
Thank you.
I would start with quoting Huey P. Newton, man. Huey P. Newton said that power is the ability to define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. I think you're asking me about how does the system define the phenomenon of resistance to make it where it's always seen as obscure, illegitimate, terroristic, criminal, whatever the hell you want to call it. I think that it's a part of how power is able to maintain itself. And when I started learning about, I think, what is it, post-structuralism, and start learning about structures, is that the system is always good at being able to incorporate what modes of resistance is good and what modes of resistance is not good. And I think when it comes to uh, how freedom fighters, how Nat Turner, how Palestinians, how shit, even, you know what I'm saying, South Sudanese, how the Haitians, like, there's always ways to pathologize the resistance because it's always about how the victor can tell the stories. To the victors goes the spoil, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, we always, what's the African proverb? It's like, if we always go off of the hunt from the eyes of the lion, we'll never know about the gazelle or some shit like that. It's like, to me, this is what that is. It's like, how can power justify itself? By coding any challenge to it as being unethical and immoral. And it's just that simple, really. It's just like, this challenge, this, to me, it's like this. Social order. And if you challenging, social order is key. Social order is the meta thing. The system is what holds social order. If you're challenging the system, you're fucking up social order, and therefore it justifies me eliminating you and seeing you as a threat because social order is how we're able to get everything. Without social order, everything goes into chaos. And if everything goes into chaos, guys, then we're all dead. So what this means is we have to maintain social order. And if any of you blacks or illegal Mexicans or any of you gays get in the way of fucking up social order, we will eliminate you. We will see you as exactly that, a threat to social order, and we will eliminate you. And I think that's the best simplified way I can answer that question.
That is so poignant, especially when you speak to maintaining the social order, because oftentimes I think that's the ultimate goal. And some people have, even in their activism, decided that that is also something that they're considering rather than upending the system and completely trying to create new structures that center marginalized folks. And I was hoping you'd be able to speak to folks that have gone out and started protesting in peaceful ways, or have gone to some of these protests that are funded by, Democrats, and are seen to be kind of I guess, organized in an orderly way. They're not meant to disrupt. They're meant to bring awareness to the issue, but oftentimes folks go out with the understanding that I will not cause any disruptions. We will not be violent. We will focus on peace. And I was just hoping you'd be able to speak a little bit to that, if you have any thoughts on that, or what you think folks can start to do to actually actualize a revolution in this time. It's a big question, I know. So
Yeah, big question. I answered two ways. The first way I answered is say that a lot of us on the left, a lot of us leftists, we don't really understand what comes with the revolution, and we don't understand how much bloodshed comes with the shit. And a lot of us make think pieces about Marxists and Leninists and Afro-pessimists and shit, and we don't really understand that blood, sweat, tears, and boogers is gonna be something that we ain't really set with. Second thing I say is a lot of the context that we have to have this conversation in is having the most funded military in the world and having, in many instances, the biggest military in the world. Now, CIA, FBI, if you're listening, whoever has my file, I don't want no smoke, and I'm not trying to say that we should overthrow anything. What I am saying in terms of philosophy, in terms of theory, in terms of doing a thought project, is that America is armed to the teeth. Not only is it armed to the teeth, America has done a great way of exploiting Congolese blood, sweat, and tears to make it where they can use unarmed objects, drones, to kill a whole bunch of people, and they ain't gotta do shit. They ain't even gotta risk nothing. You know what I'm saying? So when I think about revolution, I think about overthrowing, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the other, I think about who would be in jeopardy the most and what are they willing to do to make sure they hold on to not being in jeopardy. And what I know is that right now, you got, I see you got a note taker right here, a note taker right here, right? Let's say I say some crazy shit and it don't make it to the edit. Or I say the crazy shit and y'all decide to scrap it. Tiana's note taker already gave the data to Peter Thiel. Chat GPT, and I ain't coming at you. I'm just thinking about how I think about it. You ask me my perspective is how I think about it. You know what I'm saying? I think about it like this. In terms of in philosophy, I learned there is no outside of the system. It's only resistance to it. So you asking me in my mind, like, hey, what does it look like to have a revolution, or what does it look like to actualize resistance? Right now, we live in an age of hyper commodification and surveillance. We having a private conversation on goddamn Zoom.
And the feds are
or
in
Google, you feel me? They already on the shit. You know what I'm saying?
They're listening now, and they may show up at our doors. So
you know what I'm saying? But to me, it's thinking about like, hey, okay, if you really trying to go with a war, quote unquote, who you going against? And it's the reason why people listening. Even y'all ever wonder, how come we can't do like the French? How come we can't do like the Europeans over there? The Europeans don't have a racialized state that we have. The Europeans have an apparatus that can see that humanity. In America, they don't see our humanity. In America, ICE is showing you that they can see everybody as niggas and justify killing everybody. So when you ask the question of revolution, I still think about like, man, I don't even know, unless we had American soldiers that was gonna try to do a coup like a CIA do everybody else,
From
it work. And what I say is this, CIA, FBI, I'm not trying to encourage nobody to do coups. I ain't trying to encourage no military, maybe Army, maybe Marines, maybe Air Force. I ain't trying to encourage nobody doing that. As a matter of fact, what I'm saying, CIA, FBI, is that y'all got such a strong hold on this shit. I don't think anybody that's committed to sign an oath to y'all and be a part of the military would even be stupid enough to bite the hands that feed them or to try to go up against the giant everybody is. Sadly for us as Americans, what I say to end this question, the only thing that can save us is the people we've been fucking over for 400 years, the world.
There you
the
go.
same global community America been fucking over is the only thing that can come save us. So sadly, all of the privileges that we've had, all the luxuries that we enjoy, that shit gonna be gone with the way that the America gotta follow us. We gotta grapple with. You feel me? I enjoyed sitting with y'all on this private chat and not having to hear drones and bombs well my head.
Black SUVs coming out, like
you know what I'm saying? But I'll talk to Palestinians in Gaza.
Yeah.
I've talked to them in Gaza on live streams. I've talked to them and my heart then dropped and hit my stomach and seeing the look on their faces because of drone going over their head. I don't know what it's like to live there, but I've seen on a live stream what that is. And I'm seeing right now that ain't our reality. But I'm understanding it could be. See what I'm saying? And it's just like answering that question about revolution. It scares me, but I can be real and give you this elaborate response because it's like, hey, man.
No.
Well, I forget who the artist was. Was it Jill Scott Heron who said the revolution will not be televised? It will be live because it has to happen in the mind. It's the liberation of the consciousness, like you were saying. And it's the humanization of the people that have been the most discarded and living on the fringes, like you said. So, yeah, until people get there, I don't know if even the majority of Americans, at least, would be in the mindset to stage a revolution because they still have to get out of what the system has taught them and what's being told to them through the algorithms, through the public school system, through just living in a capitalistic society here in this country. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's folks pacified too. Like last thing I say is that I went and read about the Eichmanns and about the Nuremberg trials and shit, and thinking about the Nazi people that was just going business as usual while Jewish people being burnt up. You know what I'm saying? And I think about it in the American context. It was folks that was moving business as usual while black folks being strung on trees, burnt, and put our testicles in our mouth. We see that there are Native Americans being abducted and being shot and then put in mass graves, and it was folks moving business as usual. That reality what I'm bringing up is still gonna be folks right now that's still moving business as usual. They neighbors getting kidnapped, they don't give a damn. It's Super Bowl Sunday today. Do you know how many people don't give a damn about, you know what I'm saying, them being abducted and this, that, and the other? Do you know how many operations ICE is setting up right now where they're gonna go in and fuck up some people's Christmas, fuck up some people's Super Bowl. They already been staged. They finna come in. Y'all celebrating. They finna knock on the door. They finna think about that. It's Super Bowl Sunday. People gonna be business as usual. We have a conversation about the future of
The
slave laws in
distraction.
America right now.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, today could be the biggest boycott ever if everyone came together, but instead, we're
No,
all
we're
gonna
going
go
for the
out
Seattle Seahawks,
and
and we
we're
hope the
gonna
Patriots lose.
and
But
we're gonna
and that's
root
just
for the Hawks, you know,
see what
and
I'm
we're gonna
saying.
find
That's
a
the
way
reality we in though.
but yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry.
right. No, and you clocked it. You clocked it.
Sorry. And listen, people, listen. I'm not I'm not a righteous almighty nigga. I'm implicated in all of the criticisms I made. I link to the criticism. I'm not immune or absolved from anything I've said. I too am gonna watch the Super Bowl. I still understand the contradiction of me being like, damn, but also understanding rest. Also understanding in terms of Afro pessimism, how do you celebrate your social life in the idea and state that you always social death? How do you able to make your lemonade and lemon meringue, lemon pie, and way I was trying to give you lemons, especially so it's like you're still trying to figure out something, but the contradiction is there.
Absolutely. Yeah, recently I loved what you had to say about the revolution in the modern times that we're living in. And we recently spoke to Elmer Dixon, the co-founder of the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party, which was the first chapter outside of California. And, I had asked him, with ICE doing all this stuff, what do you have to say about this? Is it time for people to start defending themselves? And he was like, in today's age, like, I don't think those same tactics would work. Even he was saying that because,
He was
you
like,
know,
I'm not an advocate for that right now because of what's going on, basically.
It's shot in the face, man.
Yeah.
Take your
You're
ass
gonna
out
get
there with
murdered.
a black beret and a gun in a law book. And see if you ain't gonna get put on a t-shirt. I hope you got some insurance so we gotta do a GoFundMe for you. Like what?
no, for real. And I recently saw a creator who did a think piece and she was talking about how the Epstein files just came out, how all of our leaders or a lot of them in these rich circles are doing the most unimaginable things to children. We're seeing what's happening with ICE and she was like, it's business as usual. And she's like, you know why? Americans are finally realizing they are not free. What are we going to do? Go get a permit from the city to protest and get permission? Like, what are we going to do?
What is
We are
that gonna
not,
do?
we're
Yeah.
not free. We're not free here. It's all an illusion. It's an illusion.
I
Yeah,
have
the
no
sonic freedom.
objections. I have no objections to that.
I think we're all on the same page on that one.
Definitely all on the same page on it. And to the point where I seen this, it's this Chinese dude I like to follow, you feel me? And shit, he made that point. Like in America, you think you have freedom, you think you have freedom of speech. Your freedom of speech does nothing. You have freedom, your freedom to do nothing. They make you think you have choice. You don't have it. And he's saying it like this. When he's saying it, he's got the accent, but he's saying it straight, like simple, like punctual. Like you say you have freedom, you have no freedom. You say you have choice, your choice is really, and he was like, damn, and that's what we all sitting there. But being real, as somebody that's a real leftist, that's really used to be way more radical. I used to be way more radical than I am now. I'm 35 now with kids,
Really?
wife, and mortgage. I used to be a radical little shit. I used to be, man, and when I was 25, 23, 22,
What affected your transition? Was it because you started to, like you said, you acquired the house, the kids, the marriage and things? Like what was that transformation for you to become like less, I guess, leftist? You're very far left now.
I say the two things, well, actually the one thing, the turning point that changed my whole reality is I used to be a person that didn't believe in voting. I was a straight community organizing nigga. Malcolm X said, battle of the bullet. Fuck it, I'm going with the bullet. Let's go, you know what I'm saying? Let's go do some organizing. I don't see voting, don't do nothing. You know what I mean? That's how I used to feel. I had the opportunity to vote for Barack Obama the second time. I was of age. I chose not to. I could have voted for Hillary Clinton over Trump. I didn't. I chose not to. I didn't vote at all. I lived in Oklahoma when it happened. Though I lived in Oklahoma and my single vote was still made it where Oklahoma was red, I sat with the reality of my classmates in grad school in 2016, crying, breaking down, and accepting that a lot of them had spent money that they home. A lot of them had accepted the reality that they spent money on flights and tickets, and they couldn't go, even though they ain't seen their family in 4 years, 3 years, because if they left, they risk not being able to come back and get their degree. And I'm in grad school. And this is we about to graduate next semester type shit. You know what I'm saying? So seeing my classmates deal with the real consequence of the election made me really see and think about the consequences of the election. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until 2016 when I started to really sit with the reality of being and engaging in electoral politics. And it wasn't until 2020 until 2020 was the first time I voted. I ain't voted till I was 30 years old, damn near. You know what I'm saying? First time I voted, but went until I was like 30. You know what I mean? And I say that as somebody that's been very intelligent since I was 18. You know, that's what I mean by I was way more radical. Like, fuck the system, fuck
You
this,
are
that,
anti-system. I'm not even contributing to this in any way, which understandable. But it sounds like you just expanded your worldview. Like you said, you were at grad school and then you realized we live in a global world. We don't just live in America, and people are not able to leave. They can't go home because they won't be able to come back. And it's it's really just speaking to other people and understanding.
And they couldn't even vote too. Think about that. They couldn't even vote too. I want to be
they had no voice. Yeah.
That was the reality of me being they couldn't even vote. They're not citizens here, but they go to school here. And their whole livelihood is in jeopardy because of Muslim bans or immigration bans, or you don't know what's up in the air, what's going to happen when you get back. And it's you know what I mean?
So it incentivized you to act then in that way that you needed to use
Actually,
your
I
voice.
say just invest more. Invest more in the policy-making process.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I'm able to sit with, on the internet, people give me a lot of shit because I'm so, I guess, leftist or so radical in so many instances. They don't understand when I'm talking to, a politician, when I'm engaging a politician, when I'm interviewing a politician. They don't see the thing. For me, I see it as shit. Whenever they pass this bill, I want them to remember voices and faces like mine when they pass this whole bill, but also there's no way for me to be upset about the policy-making process if I don't engage politics.
Yeah.
There's no way for me to dictate the political conclusions if I don't engage politics.
Yeah.
We talked about opening this interview. My mama and my daddy are products of the politics. You feel me? Like who's in office, who the judge we vote for, that's gonna dictate the sentence my mom and my daddy get. If they get off in jail, if they get off on parole, if they, you know what I'm saying, that's parole board, that's TDCJ. TDCJ is also governed by politics with the Electoral College. TDCJ, people don't live in Texas, that stands for the Texas Department of Correctional Facilities. Justice, TDCJ in it, you know what I'm saying? But it's just this the reality I live in. Shit, I want people to drink clean water. How can we drink clean water if there's no regulations for this? You know what I mean? So I started thinking more, connecting dots of this being hey, niggas most likely to be arrested. When you get arrested, you gotta go to county jail. Who run the county jail? The sheriff. How the sheriff put in position? They elected. Exactly. So if I know niggas most likely to go to jail, niggas most likely to go see a county jail, I should care about who running the jail.
Yeah, who do you want sentencing them, right? It's we don't want prisons, but in this moment, that's what we have to work with, like you said. And
but they're gonna be there.
Yeah. And the laws are affecting you. And so when people say I don't do politics, because I was definitely at a point where I thought that maybe was the way. I still had engaged in the system, but I was you know what? We need to retreat. We need to create another party. And we shouldn't focus on the two-party system right now. But I'm if we don't, though, then we're not actually using our right and responsibility to uplift those that don't even have that opportunity. And so we might as well do what we can with what we have right now.
Let me ask you a question about this, actually. Let me ask you a question. I know it's your show. I ain't trying to take it. I'm just asking you. I'm curious, though.
No, you can interview us, too.
When Donald Trump passes a law that says that the state level cannot regulate artificial intelligence, what risk to public health do you think that AI has, especially in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh my God. First of all, when I saw that, that was just insanity. The fact that, because even now in the Washington state legislature, I know that they are trying to pass certain laws to regulate AI. There's a bill relating to discipline in public schools. How do we protect our youth in public schools from this new AI technology? Because we already see there are biases in discipline, in Washington state with it being a crime to disturb schools. So are they going to start using facial recognition and different technologies to discriminate even further against students who they find to be a threat and students of color? And so when I think of public health, when I think of just the discipline in public schools and how all this can be leveraged, I think it's only going to further exacerbate the inequalities that we see today, especially amongst, low income people, people of color, because I know in Seattle, it's even a big thing that we live in. Our police force, our law enforcement is highly surveilled. Amazon is here, all the big tech companies are here. So that's been a big thing here in Seattle, is using AI and these technologies to essentially, I guess you could say,
To
find
track our
people who
every
commit,
move.
yeah, to track your
Yeah.
every move. And I feel like when it comes to public health too, even just thinking of mental health and how we're seeing people using AI when they can't afford therapists and they have nobody to talk to. And then you think of what you just said, how we're having this private conversation over Zoom and it's going straight to the FBI. Hello. I know they're I know they're listening. I'm sure we'll be seeing the black truck soon, but yeah, you just think of the intersection of all these things and how they were already living in a surveillance state. Essentially, if they were wiretapping Martin Luther King's hotel rooms and phones
In the
back then,
60s. Yeah.
what do you think they're doing now? And how is that going to impact our children, especially in the digital age when everybody's carrying around a walking tracking device, which we
Yeah.
call a cell phone?
And when you was talking, that made me realize this. I love oysters. I consider myself an oyster connoisseur. And one of the things I love about traveling to Seattle is I know that the Puget Sound does have some of the best like diversity of
We have
oysters
good
I feel like in
seafood.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the data centers is going to start to impact the ecosystem that will eventually spill over to the seafood industry, because if you got the headquarters of Amazon right is there, ain't it? And you
Amazon,
got
Microsoft. Yeah.
Amazon and Microsoft.
so just Amazon and Microsoft alone, the more they incorporate artificial intelligence to their everyday procedure operations, this means the freshwater source in Seattle is going to start being taken away. We need fresh water to keep these damn data systems. We got to keep them cool. Can't have them overheating. And then we have all this pollution going into the environment. It's obviously going to impact the ecosystem of Seattle, which brings me back to my oysters.
The wildlife, the marine life. Yeah. All of the climate. And that's another thing. Like, Brad, I think you were
Damn.
talking about public health in terms of like the individual. But when you think about like the actual earth, I mean, AI in itself is going to degrade the earth like exponentially as it continues to become something that we're adopting in our daily lives in every single way. So, yeah.
Hey, in my mind, what y'all think? I feel like we are experiencing the first season of Handmaid's Tale mixed with the first season of Black Mirror together.
I have not watched Handmaid's Tale, but I've watched Little Black Mirror, and I had to stop watching it because I started to become too cynical about life. And so I was like, I can't watch this because I will like analyze everything and it will start to like affect my actual well-being.
Hey, we here. I swear to
Yeah.
God, we here. Like saying
Yeah.
that, like we
It's real though.
2026. I seen episodes that came out in 2013 about shit that's going on right now, from the NFT holograms to the robotic dogs to the like. It's so much shit in it that it's like, it's why I say I ain't like this. We're now living in the precursor of all of the apocalyptic, futuristic Netflix shows that we've seen. I watched the 100 where they send 100 people back to the earth to see it happen. It's like, hey, when you ask yourself, what in the hell could have happened on Earth that make it where the water isn't drinkable, the air isn't breathable, you know what I'm saying? The livestock
AI.
and animals is having
Yeah.
mutations. Nigga, AI, nuclear war mixed in with AI.
We
So
already
when you
have
have nuclear
genetically
warheads,
engineered.
like
animals and food. I mean, we've already been doing that. We don't even know what we're eating right now. So
Exactly.
they just created those
Oh,
shows off real life, but it's stuff that
Oh
has been
my God.
happening and
no,
like people just didn't realize.
honestly, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, did they know something? Were they trying to put us on? Because I even think of like iRobot in 2004, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, were they trying to tell us something? Like, our time travel
Leave
is
the
real. Were
world
they seeing into the future? Because we're kind of there right now.
I
Leave the
did
world
see.
behind. Has anyone's leave Brad, you've seen Leave the World Behind? Have you
Oh
seen
yeah,
Leave the World Behind? You need to watch it.
you
After
have
this, you need to watch it
to.
What is
tonight.
it on?
Oh wait, after the Super Bowl
I
on
think it's on
Netflix.
Netflix.
It's from the Obama Foundation Media Company, Higher Ground Media, and it talks exactly about what we're talking about now. So watch
After the Super
that.
Bowl.
We're gonna need to have you email us your thoughts or something. We need to know what your observations, analysis are from that because Brad and I have a conspiracy. So
Yeah,
just watch it
definitely.
and let us know.
And
There's
what is
a
it called again? What
Leave
is it
the World
called?
Behind.
Leave the
Leave the
world
world
behind. Okay.
behind.
Yeah,
It's on Netflix.
it's on Netflix.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, man, this shit going crazy. I seen that ham is seen as having as many carcinogens as cigarettes. Oh,
Yes,
you
I
port,
heard about that,
but
and
a
I
port
think they said bacon is worse.
but
I
I
think
like
I think now
bacon.
bacon is worse.
has as many carcinogens as cigarettes. Now, the other thing I seen too, y'all talking about the AI shit. I can't think what it was, the context, but it was like they they created a community and put all AI in it. And AI had already created its own religion and was already trying to think about how to break away.
Is it
No,
Praxis Nation, Brad?
no. Oh my. Oh,
That's
the
different.
FBI is gonna be after you for bringing up Praxis Nation, girl. This is getting a little deep. But woo. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. AI,
Yes,
these
I've heard
AI
about
bots,
that.
they came together and they created their own social media channel or their own social
Yeah.
media network. And the bots were talking about how to like destroy humanity. They were like, humans are a cancer to the earth. We must get rid of
Oh, they
them.
became sentient, right? I heard about that.
They were literally conversing with
Or
each
showing
other on
signs
this like
of
social
sentience.
media channel, and they were talking about basically how humans ain't shit. And it's like this is literally
Wow.
and I'm like, well, they didn't lie.
I
Like
mean,
this is kind of
maybe
they
they
did
would
not
help
lie.
stage the revolution with us.
Yeah, no, we talking about. It's called. I'm finna go down rabbit hole on that. It's a new social network called Maltbook that has been created for AIs, allowing machines to interact and talk to each other. Within hours of the platform launching, the AIs appeared to have their own religion, develop subcultures, and attempted to evade human efforts to eavesdrop on their conversations.
So they're just creating another subset of the population to employ and replace our jobs.
Man, listen, man, and shit. This part right here, FBI,
I'm gonna be
FBI,
looking into that one.
CIA, Mossad, all y'all. This is where y'all might have fucked up at right here. Y'all worried about trying to control us humans and trying to maintain social order through us humans. What y'all done fucked up at is y'all allow for artificial intelligence to grow exponentially without human actors at all. So when we see social media platforms that's made for AI, why the hell would you do it anyway? Why would you make a social media platform for AI to interact with each other? Whatever. They have all within hours, they create their own religion, subgroups, and they also try to talk about evading. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Consciously, I'm so sorry. This they're already after you, I know, but they really gonna be after you after this. Look
Have
at
you
the
heard
link
of
I
that?
just showed
Yeah.
you.
Praxis
Praxis
Nation.
Nation. And when we're done, look into this. I'm telling you.
You have homework
This-
after this, so we will be convening.
This it's getting weird. It's getting crazy. And I went to the Praxis Nation Twitter, and they're talking all sorts of like Nazi white supremacist talking points. Like I'm telling you, people don't see what's going on. We're cooked as of now.
Well,
They're
yeah.
like this AI stuff, we're cooked. Look into this, like
I
it's
clicked it. The first thing that caught my mind, that I'm already about to be like, hold on.
You're gonna be on the rabbit hole today.
Hey, it say sovereign intelligence,
Yeah.
Western civilizations.
It's rooted in
Western
the tech
civilization in the
companies.
intelligence age.
Yeah.
Hey, this some Peter Thiel,
Yeah.
what's their name? I can't think of the other dude name. But this they shit right here. This the oligarchs. This is
Yeah. It's a new digital civilization that is ran by the tech companies and other corporations that are
it's
invested in
exactly like the 100.
equity.
Like the 100 literally have it at the end. It's like this enlightenment
Yeah.
area you can go to, and it's like it's ran by technology.
Yeah. So that's going to be a fun deep dive. Enjoy that.
Yeah, it says they're going to come out. I ain't scared of them, though. They said digital nations are internet native organizations with one, a shared culture consistent of a worldview, way of life, and identity. Two, an internal economy to develop internal capacities and a marketplace. And three, governing institutions that create and enforce laws pertaining to membership and conduct, formed to lead and advocate for its people. The next wave of crypto adoption requires crypto infrastructure integration into its core functions of the society. Digital nations provide the path.
And that's going to be integrated into our daily lives before we know it. And it already is. I mean, they're experimenting now with the chat GPT. People have stopped critically thinking. Kids aren't literate right now, or they're losing literacy. I mean, you know this, Conscience, because you're an educator. But yeah, they want to pacify us, like was already mentioned before, and decrease our ability to think for ourselves. And so that's going to happen through us allowing the technology to seep into every facet of our day. But Brad, I love this conversation, and I think it relates to the next question that we have about surveillance.
So, the American government has consistently made efforts to destabilize social movements for Black liberation. In 1956, the FBI launched the Counterintelligence Program to target political organizations and activists. According to declassified FBI documents, a central focus of the program was to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, and otherwise neutralize the activities of the Black nationalists. A core part of executing this goal was preventing the rise of Black movement leaders. Internal FBI memos expressed the concern about the emergence of a charismatic Black leader who could unite Black social movements. There were numerous assassinations of Black movement leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton. Some critics of contemporary Black social movements, such as the Black Lives Matter movement, argue that the lack of a centralized leadership limits accountability and creates strategic inefficiencies in mass mobilization efforts and organizing. Many believe that the absence of centralized movement leadership today is by design and the result of efforts of opposing forces to prevent the level of coordination seen during the civil rights era. Can you provide your thoughts on this sentiment? And furthermore, can you elaborate on how we can efficiently organize in the modern era where technology has become a significant outlet for advocacy and as we're being surveilled on it?
I see that. I think that there has been an incentive for the government to make sure that we don't have any rising of the messiahs. Is what the, you know what I mean, the evidence about to stop the rise of the Black Messiah. You know what I mean? So I think that there's always been a attempt to erase any attempt to make any visible Black person be able to bring people together. But I think that we should take it and make it our advantage. I don't think we need a visible face. We don't need no Martin Luther King. We don't need no Malcolm X. We don't need no visible head. We don't need nobody to be taken out or assassinated. The best thing we're gonna be able to do is start from the bottom. To me, I think that something that is forgotten or not taken into account, I would argue that the Black Lives Matter movement was effective the way it was because of how decentralized it was. Because you had some Black Lives Matter that was super liberal. They wanted to hug police officers. You had some Black Lives Matter that was super leftist, that was Marxist in the motherfucker and wasn't talking about this shit. You had some Black Lives Matter organizations that was a little bit more moderate. You know what I mean? You had, and I think because it was decentralized, that's what made it so, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what made it so powerful to me. And that's the reason why they tried to always make it where the Black Lives Matter organization was the same thing as the Black Lives Matter movement and try to make it like all these 300 chapters of Black Lives Matter across the country is all responsible to one thing. It's like, it was hard. It was hard. It's almost what I learned about the Battle of Algiers, you know what I'm saying? And learned about France Fanon and what the French was doing and how they was able to fight the French. Nobody ever knew who the head was. If you can't kill the head of the snake, then goddamn, the snake keep on going. You know what I'm saying? So what I understand how they made it where it was hard for the French to be able to surveillance and be able to kill the whole movement because you didn't know. You just did what you know what I mean? So I feel like that is where we gotta be at. And I think social media and the people in power know that's where we gotta be at. I think that's the reason why it's been such an incentive to, you know, have Palantir, have where we have surveillance states, have it where we have different nation states share a surveillance apparatus where we travel the world and we got all our biometrics. I got all of your voice. I got all of the ways I can view you from this angle, that angle, that angle, that angle. Oh, hey, y'all got it now. Where shit, me seeing how they got Maduro in Venezuela. Yeah, man, AI got it AI is so advanced now that Maduro was sleeping in a different place every night for months. AI so advanced, and the surveillance of it is so intricate, and so you feel me, like you know what I mean, straight to it. Like it was it's so tedious.
Thank you again so much for your answer to that. And I think, yes, the decentralization of all these movements is definitely an asset. And yes, our last question is something that we ask all of our guests, and it's about how your identity informs who you are. And it is, what does Blackness mean to you?
And I'm just gonna answer it simply. Shout out to Dr. Jerry Sexton, Afro pessimist scholar. Blackness to me is the infinite possibility of something. That's what blackness is to me. To me, anti-blackness is the opposition to that possibility, to the infinite possibility. The reason why I think blackness is such powerful and so amazing is that it could be anything. And that literally blackness, I would define as the infinite possibility for whatever you want it to be. And I think that because you can explode it to mean so much, that's why we're in opposition to it, though.
Love it. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your NAACP Image Awards
I
nomination.
need y'all to vote for me too. I need you to.
I voted. I already voted.
Yeah, but you can vote for me every day until February
okay.
13th.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Vote for me every day until February 13th. I need those votes. Please vote for me. The competition is stacked. I'm sure you're gonna see some of the other favorites in the category I'm in. Shout out to the homies. But I need your vote though. Vote for me, not them.
Yes, I will. I'll vote again then. I didn't realize I could do it
Me
daily,
too.
so that's amazing.
Every day. You got 5 days left.
Yes, well, we're wishing you the best. Thank you again so much for your time. Apologies for going over. we really went off on our tangents, but I feel like it was all very valuable in the discussions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good Sunday.
Thank
Have
you.
fun
This will
with
be
your
out.
family.
This will be out on the 27th February. So
Cool. So it'll be after I know if I won or not by the end. But
exactly.
Yes.
Cool.
And we're manifesting that you won. So hopefully
It'll be a celebratory post.
Yes,
if you lose, we'll
No.
blame the AI bots. It's the AI bots.
They're fighting against the movement. No, you're gonna win. Okay, thank you.
Appreciate y'all, definitely.
Bye. Have a good day.
We deeply appreciate your support as we work to uplift the Black community and explore our unique experiences within the Black diaspora on Identity Unboxed.
Authenticity is your guide to cast an impact on the world that you will be proud of. Signing off with pride, Tiana
And Brad.
Thank you so much.